Ah, I see. Miles Edgeworth Investigations.
Objection! This is Franziska Edgeworth von Karma. Whatever.
Ich wollte Hallo sagen.
Hallo. Hallo.
Hallo.
Did you figure something out? Mit Cedric und mir.
Hello. This is a competition, Miles. And as such, I'd appreciate if you didn't talk to me.
As you wish. Okay.
Damn. Ja, gar kein Chill.
An den kommen wir einfach nicht ran.
Das offene Fenster.
Tatsache, da weht der Wind. The window is open and there's a fresh flowery scent in the air.
The flowers in the garden out there are so gross and nasty.
Do you think maybe you could try offering something useful for a chance?
Well, at least there's no way someone escaped through this window, pal. They wouldn't wake up and smell flowers after a fall from the third floor.
Are you willfully ignoring the fact that there are also iron bars on the windows?
Shit, wir haben schon wieder neue Logic bekommen. Das heißt, wir müssen noch eine andere Logic finden.
Yeah, I guess there's that too. Either way, no one could get through these windows, right?
They thought of everything when they were designing this courthouse. Very nice.
Oder?
Dürfen wir mit Bad reden? Oder sagt uns fuck off? Detective Bad, do you have any thoughts on the case? Faraday and Rel. It looks like they killed each other to me. Although there are a few things that just don't seem right. And what would that be? Huh. Why don't you try thinking on your own first before bothering me, boy? Now I've been downgraded to just boy?
Gumshoe noch reden?
Ne, Gumshoe kann man, ist ja nur der Assistant. Wir haben die Leichen untersucht.
Haben wir den Logic gerade eben bekommen? Oh, nee, wir haben eigentlich alles durchsucht, ne? Eigentlich. Ah,
Der
oh Leute.
Lobby Window, Inkstain und den Fountain können wir wahrscheinlich zusammen machen.
Ja.
So, Connect.
Jetzt soll eigentlich von Pen and Pocket und Lobby Number 2 Window zusammenkommen.
Damn. That splotch on Mr. Faraday's hand. I wonder if it might be the ink from his fountain pen.
I also had a splotch on my hand the other day from something.
What the fuck, Gumshoe?
Detective Gumshoe? I confirm that the substance on Mr. Faraday's hand is the ink from his fountain pen.
I see. Good work. You know, I've always wanted to say that, even if it was just one time in my life.
Uh-huh. If Mr. Faraday wrote with his fountain pen in his left hand, I think it's fair to assume he was left-handed. It appears that Mr. Faraday's pen is very important to our case as well.
Man sieht von hier, dass die Gun sogar noch in der rechten Hand ist.
Ja, ja.
Okay, if you say so, pal.
Das hatte ich auch noch im Kopf. Hatte ich vorhin sogar nachgeschaut gehabt.
War das nicht Legend auch dasselbe mit dem einen Dude da aus dem letzten Case? Der hatte auch irgendwie die Gun in der anderen Hand.
Ja, das war Mr. Deacon und so.
Ja.
No, we can't conclude that quite yet. There's still something I find very peculiar here. The theory that they simply kill one another is too simplistic in this case. In fact, there's actually a contradiction that shows there's another possibility.
No way, Paul. Pal, really?
Huh. I suppose I will just have to show you the conflict in this crime scene. Okay, dann dürfen wir jetzt da drauf und dann deduce und dann machen wir unseren Fountain Pen wahrscheinlich. Left-handed.
Ja.
Eureka! Now
Hey, pal, that's my catchphrase.
Shut it, Gumshoe. Now we come face to face. This is my moment. Now we come face to face with a contradiction I spoke of. And it is this. Mr. Faraday used his left hand to write with his fountain pen. Ergo, he is left-handed. And yet the handgun is in his right hand. Don't you find it odd that the left-handed Mr. Faraday would hold the gun in his right hand? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the great contradiction haunting this crime scene.
Jetzt haut er einfach so raus, so, ja, aber jeder weiß, dass er ambidextrous ist.
Hey, you're right, pal. That does seem kind of strange. But how could something like that happen?
The facts add up to one conclusion and one alone. Someone else put the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand after he died.
Someone else?
Plastic bags scattered on the floor and a gun in the wrong hand. I sense the presence of a shadowy figure behind this case. A person of vile intent who is serious about keeping the truth from us. Dick Gumshoe.
Investigation komplett. Und hiermit enden wir die Folge.
Cursed.
Nein, alles gut.
Here's the autopsy report.
It is probable that Mr. Rell survived for a short time after he was shot. However, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously from his stabbing. Interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
Heinche, it looks like we now know everything we need to know about this case.
Are you sure? Are you sure we know about everything?
Of course, the incident began with Mr. Faraday attempting to get his revenge. The prosecutor went into a rage from being accused and tried to kill the defendant. But the defendant fought back and they ended up killing each other. It's all very clear and simple. There's absolutely no margin for doubt.
Do you really believe that to be the truth?
Ha! Are you saying that just because I figured out the truth before you? That you don't want to believe it's true? It's alright. If you disagree with my argument, then prove me wrong. Well, if there are any contradictions to be found, that is.
Don't worry, I will. Kid.
Ich weiß nicht, ob ich langsam so in den deutschen Yoda abdrifte.
Ja, wie auch. Stimmt.
Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rell survived for a short time. From this, it is obvious that Mr. Faraday died after he shot Mr. Rell. And Mr. Rell, when on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. Those are the facts of this case.
Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, therefore he must have attacked first. Proving that logic to be false is probably the fastest way to show her that she's wrong. In that case, I should first look for any holes in her theory.
Mr. Faraday's dead. Oh, ja schon.
Okay. Wir können ja erstmal pressen, wir sind die Klassischen.
Ja.
Ich höre die Spieler. Hold it! Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Ralph before he died. Do you have any basis for that statement?
Your foolishness has no end, does it? Now I hate to repeat myself, however. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, sister. That's all the basis I need.
Alright, so if Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, that's how you pronounce it by the way, then he must have attacked Mr. Ralph before being stabbed.
You're finally beginning to catch on, I see.
Schade. So you believe that the dying Mr. Ralph stole the knife from Mr. Faraday?
Mr. Rell became desperate as he did not want to die.
That's weird.
Human beings can do amazing things when they are put to the test. Sorry, I pronounced TH correctly. So the two men struggled. And in the end, Mr. Rell was able to grab the knife and stab Mr. Faraday. The messy condition of this room is a testament to their struggle. Yes, my logic is perfectly sound.
Can you really say that? Can you really say that it's perfect?
What are you insinuating?
Nothing. However, I can't let what you said slide without further inquiry. One must be clear and precise. So if you could append that statement to your testimony.
Fine. They struggled and Mr. Rell used the last of his strengths to counterattack Mr. Faraday. Da war kein Struggle.
Aber haben wir das als Ding?
Gumshoe. Testimony.
Oh.
Da steht sogar direkt. Genau steht es da.
Objection! Not so fast, you little child. If the two men were fighting, their struggle would have surely caused quite a bit of noise. However, my good friend Dick testified that he heard absolutely nothing.
Good friend, yes! Ha! You place too much faith in the detective's testimony, you know? But for the sake of an argument, let's say there wasn't a fight. How then did Mr. Rell get his hands on the knife?
Mr. Faraday's bag was sitting right here in lobby number 2. It is not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. Rell saw a chance and took it out at some point.
So what you're saying is this. Mr. Rell took a chance when he saw the opportunity and took the knife from the bag. And then Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed.
Isn't there something strange in Francisco's statement just now?
Stop.
Wait, something doesn't add up.
Oh, really?
It's simply not possible for Mr. Faraday to have shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed. Never
Jetzt
so
deswegen, ich wollte sagen, das ist bei der Crime Scene.
Der hier, oder?
Mhm.
Take that! According to the coroner's report, Mr. Faraday died instantly, meaning that he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, he could not possibly have fired the gun after that.
Oh, you got me!
But of course.
Well then, if the report is correct, then there's only one correct explanation. If we suppose that Mr. Rell attacked first, then Mr. Faraday, who died instantaneously, would have been unable to kill Mr. Rell. Therefore,
Just
Mr.
sounds
Rell,
like Mario.
therefore, Mr. Rell must have stabbed Mr. Faraday after he was shot. Then, they both died. That is the only explanation that makes logical sense.
Negating your opponent's ideas in order to prove your own theory? I see you've been studying, Franziska.
I just wanted to explain it to you as simple as possible. Before you foolishly propose a foolish theory that only foolish fool like you could.
How naive of you to believe that only your opinions are valid.
Fool.
Don't tell him as well, and still expect to discover the truth that the crime scene offers you. Franziska, you've still got a ways to go.
Peitsche! What are you talking about? Are you saying there's a flaw in my logic?
Mr. Faraday died instantly, and the fact that he did is what gives rise to the contradiction in the scene. The contradiction here in this crime scene is...
Out of Bodies Film? Nee. Hab ich ja schon gesagt, aber... Ich glaube, das hat was damit zu tun, weil sonst wären die nicht aufeinander gelandet. Oder
er hätte ja auch auf dem Boden sein können, die dann stabben, dann geht der andere, fällt auf ihn runter, so ist es nicht. Aber Order of Events...
Ja.
Hätte ich jetzt gesagt.
Ich weiß übrigens, das ist ganz professionell werden Aufnahme.
Das ist sehr professionell. Und ich liege falsch. There's a contradiction in the order you say the crime took place in.
Oh, in that case, why don't you prove the contradiction now, my Swift? Remember that we won for Karma's must strive to be perfect.
Aber...
And that kind of perfect answer can hardly be called perfect now, can it?
I guess you're right. Maybe I should have given a more detailed explanation. Let's see. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, and the fact that he did is blah 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 blah.
Ja doch, ich glaube, dann wäre es ja sinnvoll gewesen, wenn er einfach zuerst gefallen wäre. Ja, ich glaube, dann ist es Order Bodyfeld.
Alter, wenn es jetzt die Evidence back ist, bin ich schon wieder so sad. Okay.
Let the body hit the floor.
Let the bags hit the floor. Okay. Let me get this gay. What you are arguing is this. Mr. Faraday took the gun from his evidence bag and shot Mr. Rell. Then, the wounded Mr. Rell found an opportunity to take the knife and strike back.
Scam?
Ja?
Ich glaube, Ashworth ist noch Closet. Also im Closet. Er hat Phoenix Wright noch nicht wiedergesehen. Er weiß noch nicht, dass er geht.
Damn. That's deep.
Eureka.
Yeah, I'm just a chill dude, bro. Yeah, upon being stabbed, Mr. Faraday died on the spot, bro. Mr. Rel died thereafter. If that's the case, then how do you explain this, yo? I'm straight, by the way. Take a good look at the order in which their bodies are piled.
No.
9. Mr. Faraday's body is lying on top of Mr. Rel's, therefore, he must be a bottom. Mr. Rel must have died before Mr. Faraday.
Unmöglich.
Yes, I agree that it seems strange no matter what angle you approach it from. Which means that the real mystery behind this crime scene... What?
Einspruch. No, not so fast, Mills Edgeworth.
What now?
I simply think that you ought to think a bit more outside the box. And that is even clearer now that the incident started with Master Faraday's murderous intent.
She sure bounced back quickly. An explanation won't be enough this time. It's going to take some very decisive evidence to prove her wrong.
What happened?
What happened, part 2?
It was just chance that Mr. Faraday's body fell on top of Mr. Red's. The two bodies fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time. It really doesn't matter in the slightest that they fell in the opposite order.
I just know that Franziska's explanation isn't absolutely correct. All I have to do is find a hole in her logic. Once I do, I can then present her with the evidence that proves the contradiction. What do you mean by they attacked each other at the same time?
I assume Mr. Faraday had the two different weapons in his hands. He made to attack Mr. Rel while holding both knife and revolver, and then...
Hold on, das ist kein Revolver gewesen. Das war eine Handgun. Egal.
Yeah. After Mr. Faraday fired the gun, Mr. Rel grabbed the knife as he was falling and stabbed Mr. Faraday. Nein, das kann nicht sein. Das können wir aber gleich sagen. This is how Mr. Rel wound up on the bottom with Mr. Faraday on top. Denn wir haben rausgestellt,
Das few yards away war.
Nein, dass Mr. Faraday im Bottom ist.
Achso, fuck.
At close range, that is more than impossible.
Yes, it's possible, but...
Well, if you have any other idea, then show me what you've got.
Oh, I will.
Show me what you've got.
To that extent, I'd like for you to append what you just said to your testimony.
Humph, I don't see any point to that, but as you please. Ups.
Tada, present. Und die in der Gun stand ist, oder? Ne, wo stand es? Doch, few yards away.
Na, warte, da gab's doch noch irgendwo was wirklich mit
der Close Range,
so, oder?
Stand hier noch was drin?
Ja, ich glaube da, tatsächlich, oder?
No gun.
Ja. Ich würde das direkt da sagen.
Objection!
Ah, sieht gut aus.
I'm destroying little kids in Fortnite. So you believe they killed each other at close range? Sorry, but that's impossible. Just as it is written in the crime scene notes. The
Again.
firing of the handgun did not leave a gunpowder burn on Mr. Rel's clothes. Therefore, Mr. Rel and the gun must have been separated by a distance of at least 2 or 3 yards. What? Where's that music coming from? Hello?
What are yards? I only know meter!
Yes, this is by far the biggest contradiction. Ha! Get it? The two bodies are piled up on each other, yet the gun was fired from a distance. And with there being no chance that Mr. Rel moved that far after being shot, at least only one possible explanation.
What a completely foolish and a foolish thought, foolish. If I'm not right, then who was it that made the first move with the intent to kill, huh? Who?
The person that attacked first with murderous intent, that would be neither man. Here in this room, contradictions appear no matter which man we claim attacked first. Thus there can only be one explanation. There was a third person here. It was that third person who killed both Mr. Faraday and Mr. L, and set their bodies up to make it look like a double murder. That third person is the real culprit.
Miles Edgeworth, there's just one thing you're missing.
Evidence, correct?
Exactly. Everything you said up until now is nothing but a story played out in your head. However, this is where the real test begins. Can you prove that there was a third person involved in this crime?
Of course not. If a third person was truly here, that fact would resolve the glaring contradiction. The proof that this has all been a setup, made to look like they killed each other, are presented and lay bare the final piece of the puzzle that's not yet in place. What is the piece of evidence that proves there's a third person involved?
Handgun, oder?
Ja, das mit dem Left Hand.
Ja.
Oder? Hab ich das gesagt? Schade.
Ich überlege gerade, der Bloodbag sonst? Well, I have no idea.
Yes, well,
Peitsche! Ich find's toll, dass er wirklich dadurch Leben verliert.
Ja. Yep. Ja. Okay. Naja.
Was ist beim Blue?
Was steht hier noch alles drin? Da steht immediately, shock, stabbing,
Nee, da steht nichts
gunpowder, possible alive, und dann killed recovered.
Mhm.
A lot of a bag strewn on the floor has Faraday's blood on it.
Warte mal, kannst du ihn checken? Was passiert, wenn du ihn checkst?
Oh, Tatsache. Oh, lol.
Das
sehe
ist
jetzt.
einfach nur.
Ich rotiere, aber es passiert nichts.
Mhm.
This blood here is from Mr. Faraday, but there are no other clues to be found. Which begs the question, do we need to put this bag inside another bag in order to preserve it as evidence? Yep.
Wow.
Das ist immerhin haben wir Great Contact
Nee.
bekommen. Das scheint mir nicht irgendwie wichtig zu sein.
Denn die Handgun vielleicht, weil das ist ja die Mordwaffe. Ich glaube, von der Handgun ist es eher. Ja, ich glaube, das ist die.
Ja, was anderes ergibt ja noch weniger Sinn, oder?
Ja.
Take that!
Ich
The
glaub,
gun
wir
in
wollten
Mr.
einfach-
Faraday's hand and the plastic bag with his
Oh,
blood on it.
den hätten wir auch vorstellen können anscheinend.
These two items point to the presence of a third person.
How so?
Recall Detective Dick's testimony.
I was in a hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle.
If there wasn't a struggle in this room, then there shouldn't be any plastic bags on the ground. Meaning that someone else must have deliberately scattered them around.
I mean, die machen jetzt keinen Krach, so wenn die zum Boden fallen.
Do you not see the possibility in this? Disregarding the gun for the moment, there's a high probability of blood splatter when a knife is used on a person. If a culprit held the knife with a plastic bag around it, they could use the bag to catch any blood splatter from when they withdrew the knife. Then by spreading a few more plastic bags around, mixing the bloody one in with them, and arranging the room to make it look like there was a struggle between the two, they were able to conceal their presence.
Ah!
Damn, das ist irgendwie keine verfälscht. Oh nein, ich muss reden. Looks like we still got a long way to go in this investigation.
Looks like. Warte, wir warten bis gleich zu Ende ist.
Yes. Wer objected?
Ich dachte, er ist der Forensiker.
Sie.
Well, what the heck's up with you, pal?
Mr. Bat, I advise you to place Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Well,
What?
Stampf, stampf, stampf.
What's the meaning of this?
Ha! Looks like you're not the man enough to discipline your own subordinates.
Don't you dare.
That detective claims he was there, standing in front of the door the entire time. but I have it on good authority that it was all a giant lie.
Miss Yu, I ask that you please explain that last statement.
I'll let His Honor explain it in himself in the next
episode. Du darfst die Verabschiedung jetzt auch machen.
Das war's mal wieder und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal. Zack.
Ciao.